why Wabi-Sabi might be the secret to a happy, fulfilling life. What if everything you've been told about happiness is wrong? What if the search for perfection, the desire to always be more, to fix, to optimize, to control, what if that's exactly what's making you feel empty? We live in a world obsessed with flawless surfaces, with filtered smiles and curated lives, with productivity hacks and constant improvement. And yet, so many of us feel anxious, incomplete, like we're chasing something we can never quite catch. But there's an ancient Japanese philosophy, quiet, humble, almost hidden, that offers a radically different answer. It's called Wabi-Sabi, and once you understand what it truly means, it might just change the way you live forever. Wabi-Sabi is not a rulebook or a religion. It's not a self-help trend or a morning routine. It's a way of seeing. At its core, Wabi-Sabi is the acceptance of imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. It's the beauty of a cracked teacup, the elegance of faded wood, the dignity of a wrinkled hand. It's the philosophy that says nothing lasts, nothing is finished, and nothing is perfect, and that's okay. More than okay. That's beautiful. And here's the twist. This isn't about settling or giving up. It's about waking up. Waking up to a deeper, quieter truth that most of us have forgotten in our rush to succeed.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Think about it. So much of our suffering comes from resistance, resisting aging, resisting change, resisting failure, resisting the parts of ourselves that don't match the image we want to project. We chase youth. We hide our flaws. We edit our lives until they don't even feel real. But Wabi-Sabi invites us to do the opposite. It asks, what if you stop trying to be perfect? What if you let the cracks show? What if you saw your life not as a project to be completed, but as a garden to be tended, even when it's messy, even when it's mild? This philosophy isn't abstract, it's lived. It's in the way you choose to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. It's in how you see the chipped mug you've used for years as more valuable, not less. It's in how you let yourself be seen, not just when you're polished, but when you're raw. And here's the paradox. When you stop demanding perfection from yourself and others, you start to feel something we all crave but rarely admit: peace. Not the peace of everything being right, but the peace of letting go of the need for it to be. But let's go deeper. Why does Wabi-Sabi resonate so profoundly, especially right now? Because we're tired. We are exhausted by the myth of constant growth. We're told that if we just work harder, think more positively, build better habits, we'll finally arrive. But what if there is no arrival? What if the goal is not to finish the race, but to realize you were never supposed to be racing in the first place? Wabi-Sabi doesn't offer a finish line. It offers a path. And a path where the fallen leaves are part of the beauty, where the detours matter, where the pauses aren't mistakes, they are the music. And here's where it gets personal. How do you treat yourself when you mess up? Do you speak to yourself with the same gentleness Wabi-Sabi offers? Or do you become a critic, a judge, a voice that says you're not enough? What if you looked at your own emotional scars the way a Zen monk looks at a broken bowl repaired with gold kintsugi, not trying to hide the damage, but honoring it as part of the story? What would your life feel like if you could see yourself not as a problem to solve, but as a process to honor? This isn't a rejection of growth, it's a redefinition. It's not about becoming more, it's about becoming real. And in a world that constantly tells us to hustle, to fix, to upgrade. Wabi-Sabi whispers something radically different. You are enough, even in your becoming. You are allowed to be a work in progress. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to be broken and beautiful at the same time. So I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with it. What part of yourself or your life have you been trying to hide, fix, or perfect when maybe, just maybe, it's the very thing that makes you whole? What if the thing you think disqualifies you is the thing that connects you most deeply to others? What if the crack isn't a flaw but a doorway? In the next part, we'll go even deeper into how Wabi-Sabi can transform not just our self-perception, but our relationships, our work, and even our understanding of time itself. Because once you begin to see the world through this lens, everything changes. Embracing the unfinished, how Wabi-Sabi can redefine love, work, and the meaning of time we're told to chase closure. We seek completion in everything: relationships, careers, even ourselves. We want the final version, the perfected product, the resolved narrative. But what if the need for completion is exactly what's keeping us from fulfillment? Wabi-Sabi teaches us something radically different, that unfinished things carry a kind of sacredness. That the process, not the product, holds the deepest meaning. And when we begin to live this way, we unlock a new way of relating not just to ourselves, but to others, to our work, and to time itself. Let's talk about love. Most of us enter relationships with an unconscious blueprint, a vision of how it's supposed to look. We want certainty, clarity, symmetry. We want the fairy tale ending, the happily ever after. But human connection, real, deep, messy connection, isn't a finished sculpture. It's a garden. It grows, it withers, it regenerates. It gets tangled, it surprises you. And if you expect it to always be neat, you'll miss the actual beauty of it. Wabi-Sabi love isn't about perfect compatibility, it's about shared imperfection. But it's about witnessing each other's cracks and not running away. It's about saying, I see your unfinishedness and I choose you anyway. There's something powerful that happens when two people stop trying to fix each other and start honoring the journey they're both on. Wabi-Sabi in love means you understand that your partner is not a project, they're a process. And so are you. You stop measuring the relationship in milestones, and you start measuring it in presence and in patience, in how much grace you can hold for each other during the seasons of change. It's not that the pain disappears, it's that you stop needing to resolve everything and start learning to sit with the unresolved. Now apply that to your work. We live in a culture obsessed with mastery, with being the best, with achieving the next level. But Wabi-Sabi invites us to fall in love with the act of creating, not just the outcome. It reminds us that even the greatest works of art are never truly finished, they're just paused. The painter stops painting, not because the work is done, but because the moment of stopping felt right. Imagine how different your work would feel if you stopped measuring it by external standards and started asking, is this real? Is this honest? Does this reflect who I am right now, even if I'm still becoming? Instead of waiting for everything to be perfect before sharing, before starting, before daring, Wabi-Sabi says, begin anyway. Not because you're ready, but because you're alive. Because readiness is a myth. There is no final version of you, no final version of your dream. And that's not a failure, it's freedom. And the freedom to keep evolving. The freedom to release control. The freedom to create something with soul rather than symmetry. And this all leads us to time. We treat time like a ladder, always climbing, always racing towards some imaginary summit. But what if time isn't linear? What if it's seasonal? What if, instead of constantly striving to make the most of every moment, we allowed ourselves to be present in it fully, even when it's uncertain, even when it's quiet, even when it's incomplete? Wabi-Sabi time is gentle. It understands that not all growth is visible, but that rest is productive. That decay is part of life's rhythm, but it allows you to breathe, to slow down, to trust that you are not late, you are not behind. You are right where you are supposed to be, cracks and all. So let me ask you, what are you rushing to finish? What are you afraid will happen if you leave something undone? And what might it feel like to live in the sacred space of the unfinished, not as a failure, but as an unfolding? We are not here to complete ourselves, we are here to experience ourselves. And in that shift, everything softens. In the next part, we'll explore the paradox at the heart of Wabi-Sabi, how impermanence, which we often fear, is actually the key to lasting joy, and how embracing the fleeting nature of life might be the most powerful way to find peace in a world that's always changing. The beauty of the fleeting, why impermanence may be the only real source of joy. We're terrified of endings. We mourn what slips through our fingers, what fades, what dies. We attach to moments, to people, to identities, as if we can hold them forever. But deep down, we know we can't. And that contradiction between our desire for permanence and the reality of impermanence is the root of so much of our suffering. Wabi-Sabi doesn't try to eliminate this truth. It doesn't fight it. It bows to it. It teaches us that impermanence isn't a flaw in the system, it is the system. And maybe, just maybe, it's the reason anything matters at all. Imagine if nothing ever changed. If every flower stayed in bloom, if every relationship remained frozen at its peak, if you never aged, never lost, never had to let go. At first, that sounds like paradise. But strip away impermanence, and you strip away meaning. A cherry blossom is beautiful precisely because it doesn't last. It demands your attention now because soon it will be gone. The same applies to everything we love. Wabi-Sabi reveals that it's not despite their transience that things are precious, it's because of it. The fleeting nature of life forces us to be awake, to notice, to cherish. We often think joy comes from holding on, from securing what we love inside a vault of certainty. But what if that very act of clinging is what turns joy into anxiety? What if we could find a deeper, more stable joy by embracing the instability of everything? Wabi-Sabi joy isn't euphoric. It's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet. It's the joy of presence and the joy of witnessing. The joy of knowing that everything in front of you is here only once, and that is what makes it enough. It's not a joy that needs to last, it's a joy that needs to be felt fully before it passes. And this leads us to a difficult truth. Everything we love, we will lose. Everyone we know, including ourselves, will eventually vanish into time. We can resist that truth, pretend it's not coming, or try to numb ourselves from it. But what if we turned toward it instead? What if, like Wabi-Sabi teaches, we held the fragility of life not as a burden, but as a gift? Could we learn to love more deeply, knowing that love doesn't mean forever, it means now? Could we learn to savor more, rush less, forgive faster, speak more honestly, because time is not guaranteed? Wabi-Sabi doesn't promise eternal happiness. It offers something more honest, moments of real aliveness. And those moments don't come from perfection or control. They come from surrender, from being willing to see the world as it is, beautiful, broken, passing, and saying, yes. Yes to the flower that wilts. Yes to the wrinkle on your face. Yes to the goodbye you didn't want. Yes to the ache of being alive. Because in that ache, there's a strange kind of peace. Not the peace of everything being okay, but the peace of no longer needing it to be. So here's the question: what would your life look like if you stopped trying to make everything last? What space would open up if you allowed joy to exist for a moment without needing to preserve it? Could you love more freely if you accepted that all love is temporary, and that's what makes it sacred? In the final part, we will bring everything together. We'll explore how Wabi-Sabi isn't just a philosophy, it's a way of living, breathing, and being that can radically transform the way you move through the world. And we'll ask the most important question of all: what kind of life are you really trying to live? Living Wabi-Sabi, the courage to be real in a world obsessed with illusions. What kind of life are you really trying to live? That's the question that sits at the center of everything. Not what kind of job you want, not what kind of house or relationship or body or reputation, but something deeper, something quieter. What kind of life? And more importantly, why? Because if you don't ask this question, the world will answer it for you. It will hand you a script: be successful, be productive, be admired, be flawless. But Wabi-Sabi invites you to tear up that script and write something truer, something scarred, something real. And to live Wabi-Sabi is to reject the illusion that you need fixing. It's to understand that most of what modern life sells you this is not easy. It means letting go of the masks. It means admitting you don't have it all figured out. It means learning to be seen in your vulnerability, your grief, your fear. But vulnerability is not weakness. It's the raw material of connection. When you let yourself be seen, really seen, you give others permission to do the same. And in a world full of illusions, that's the most powerful thing you can offer: the truth of your presence. The courage to say, this is who I am today. It may change tomorrow, and that's okay. Perfection, permanence, polish is a lie. It's marketing. It's performance. It's an endless loop of never enough. But you were never meant to be a polished product. You were meant to be a living question, a breathing contradiction. Beautiful not because you're complete, but because you're becoming. And that becoming never ends. What takes real courage, especially now, is to stop pretending, to stop performing, to show up as you are, unfinished, uncertain, and still worthy of love and belonging. Wabi-Sabi living is not passive. It's not about giving up or settling. It's about choosing to engage fully with what is, rather than constantly chasing what should be. It's about finding meaning in the cracks, the pauses, the undone. It's waking up to the miracle of the ordinary. The way the light hits your kitchen table in the morning, and the warmth of a familiar voice. The quiet ache in your chest when something beautiful ends. These little things are not background noise. They are the music. And when you begin to see them, really see them, you realize how much you were missing while waiting for something better. So what does this look like practically? It means slowing down. It means choosing presence over perfection. It means creating art not to impress, but to express. It means loving people not because they fit your idea of who they should be, but because they let you see who they really are. It means forgiving yourself for not being further along. It means tending to your inner world with the same reverence you might give to a fragile, ancient object, because that's what it is. Your soul is not a machine. It's a garden. And gardens are messy, seasonal, alive. Wabi-Sabi is not a destination. It's a direction. A way of walking through life with open hands, not clenched fists. A way of allowing instead of always controlling. A way of seeing the sacred in the ordinary, the divine in the broken, the treasure in the imperfect. And once you begin to live this way, everything softens. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You start feeling. You start seeing. And most of all, you start being not more, not better, but fully. So I'll leave you with one final question, and I hope you carry it with you. If nothing ever needed to be perfect again, if you could stop striving, stop fixing, but stop hiding, what kind of life would you finally be free to live? That's the Wabi-Sabi life. Not flawless but full. Not permanent but precious. Not perfect but deeply, achingly real. And maybe, just maybe, that's all we ever needed.